Welcome, as we continue to explore the subject of chakras on the path of the seeker. Today we are covering the Heart Chakra. This is the chakra of forgiveness. Now you would probably expect me to talk about love. After all, romantic and physical love are two of the biggest focal points in Western culture. We are sold on the idea that finding someone to love will complete us like two jigsaw pieces that are incomplete. However, here we're not buying into society's rhetoric. We are taking these inward journeys on these various paths of the psyche to become whole and complete people unto ourselves. To know ourselves so deeply we heal our wounded souls for eternity. That is a big leap forward in our spiritual evolution, and folks, most people don't reach this climatic stage, or they back out here. Romantic love and physical attraction to another has no place here. Neither does love of our family or job or certain products we own. Do not despair if that is the goal that started you on this journey. Once you complete this journey, you will attract and have far deeper relationships than you can ever imagine without effort. For now, put those thoughts aside. Here is one of the hardest lessons to learn. After all, forgiveness was the focus of the ministry of Jesus. The majority of people on this planet have not mastered the primary lesson he taught, and it's been 2,000 years. Talk about a learning curve. There's a good reason this Sacred Heart photo is one of the most famous images representing the Christian religion. Here we must forgive and develop compassion for ourselves. We aren't focused on forgiving others, although that is part of a package deal. Here we forgive ourselves. All of us are carrying burdens from our past. All of us carry guilt. The guilt comes in a variety of packages. From guilt of what our ancestors did or experienced, to not earning the grades our parents expected, of neglecting a loved one as we pursue our careers, of not standing up to the bullies at school. Some are even more severe, such as molestation, rape, the death of a loved one, or abandonment. The list of things that we mentally punish ourselves for, and often run from, out of shame or fear, is endless. Whatever that guilt and shame is, here we must face it and let it go. We have already acknowledged its existence in our world with previous chakras and the shadow. Here's where we perform the burial rites. Thank these powerful emotions for what they have taught us about ourselves, and let those wounds heal forever. Here we spiritually and mentally heal ourselves. We must forgive ourselves for our shortcomings. Forgive ourselves for being limited beings in a temporary world. We must put aside the mantle of playing a would-be master architect of our lives, where we feel the need to control or influence everything, our family, our co-workers, our society, and realize we are but a fish in the sea among many. An individual fish cannot control the tides any more than we can control the society that makes up our lives. We must learn to swim with the tides of a higher power, and to do that we must first admit that we are a fish. We've already learned that the tides are our emotions. Let's take a look at what you should have in your sacred space while working on this astonishingly profound chakra. This chakra is represented by the color green. I know, you're probably thinking, what about red and pink Valentine's hearts? Think of the chakra system as a tree. The root was the roots. The sacral chakra is the base of the tree. The solar plexus is the trunk. And here we reach the first branches with their budding leaves. Right now on our path, this is a tiny baby tree, but it's growing, and we are about to start to see the first sign of new life. Here, we experience the revitalization and rebirth often expressed by the spring season. What we are experiencing now is the first signs that this will be a productive endeavor, leading to an abundant harvest later in the year. The element is air, which is easily represented by candle or incense. Trees provide oxygen, a form of air that we breathe, so that we can thrive. Diffusing an essential oil doesn't quite represent air, but it will work in a pinch because it will encourage you to breathe. The candle represents air because, like us, flame requires oxygen to exist. The smoke of incense is a great visual representation of air. There are a lot of gems, minerals, and crystals that you can choose to work with on this chakra. In fact, most of my favorites that I always keep at my bedside are associated with this chakra. So it was really hard for me to narrow down this list. Today we're going to break out of the old pattern, and I'm going to recommend 4. After all, when it comes to this chakra, we can use all the backup we can get, and our mineral brothers and sisters are more than happy to aid us. Rose quartz. We cannot talk about the heart chakra without mentioning rose quartz, which is by far one of the most popular heart chakra crystals. Yes, the rosy hues of this crystal does invoke love. Here on our path today, this love is turned inwards towards ourselves, and we're practicing using all the attributes of this crystal on ourselves. According to essential minerals, crystals, and gems, rose quartz aligns your consciousness with divine love, compassion, mercy, tolerance, and kindness. Rose quartz adds the element of love to the thoughts you hold in your consciousness. With this stone in hand, practice thinking through your heart. Put your attention and focus on your heart when you try to think things through, and you will find a peaceful, loving solution to what you are contemplating. Next is emerald. In this case, raw emerald, but you can use or wear a piece of jewelry if you wish. Emerald is useful for healing emotions and an infusion of love. Gaze into the gemstone and imagine divine love enveloping you. Embrace your emotions. Allow the green rays of this gemstone to open your heart fully. Allow the love to flow through you so you can recalibrate your emotions and return them to balance. Now we're going to turn to Malachite, one of my favorite stones, and is by far the one I meditate with the most often. Malachite's swirling shades of green represent the lessons the heart must go through, effectuating healing not only in this lifetime but also in past lives. These patterns are lessons that you can use to further your spiritual evolution. Malachite can help you clear when you have many thoughts going round and round in your head. If you're experiencing repetitive thoughts you are unable to release, use this stone to realign your mind with your heart. This stone reminds you that patterns that repeat again and again contain a lesson to be learned. This stone helps you grow emotionally, mentally, and spiritually as you recognize emerging patterns. Finally, there is Unakite. The heart-shaped Unakite in this photo is my personal medicine stone that has transformed my life. When a stone is carved into a shape, it gives emphasis to its purpose, and believe me, my heart really needed to be healed. With its pink and green energy, Unakite reminds you to set your intentions on love, compassion, and kindness. Use this stone to remind you to be tolerant and gentle with all beings. Unakite is a stone of balance. Use it to help you balance your mind with your heart and emotions. This stone helps you make decisions using your head and your heart. It also aids in calming internal debate and incessant chatter that goes on in your mind, and it offers peace and comfort in the face of anxiety. The aromas that will help you work on the heart chakra are lavender and rose. Both are known to create a soothing, loving environment that helps people release stress. These scents are important because they invoke an environment of gentleness. You will need to be gentle with yourself while working on this chakra. Blocks in this chakra develop between the transformative teenage years of 12 to 16. Here, through rebellion or repression of emotions, we either learn to unconditionally love ourselves or destroy ourselves. This chakra governs the thymus gland. The thymus gland produces T cells, which are vital when it comes to your immune system. A lack of T cells indicates AIDS. The heart and lungs. The heart and lungs are an intricate system. If one fails, the other fails as well. We process the oxygen that we cannot live without and transfer it to the heart, where it is taken through the body in our bloodstream. Problems with the heart and lungs indicate a block in the heart chakra. Balance. As human beings in the Western world, we tend to live within our intellect. If our intellectual mind cannot conceive something, we tend to either dismiss it or think it's magic. Here at the heart chakra, we learn to balance our intellect with our heart. Those with a blocked heart chakra only use their intellect, thinking only of the result that will benefit them most when interacting with others. Those with a healthy heart chakra balance intellect and compassion when interacting with others. Forgiveness. The hardest lesson of all. Those with a closed heart chakra are quick to judge and condemn others. Those with an open heart chakra are the first to admit, I too am guilty of this, and say those two most powerful healing words. I understand. Detachment. Ooh, this is such a bad word in Western society. You might even get a psychiatric label if you seem overly detached from reality. That's not what I'm talking about here, however, because thanks to the work you've done on your root chakra, you are firmly attached to the physical experience. Let's redefine this concept then. Are you overly involved in other people's lives? Are you constantly watching the news, feeling powerless because you would love to go in there and change every event you see? Do you feel the need to make a difference? Then you have an attachment issue and really need to listen to the song from Frozen titled Let It Go. In Buddhism, it's being attached to things that's seen as spiritual poison. That's what has led us to being entangled in the material world and the torture-like process of birth and death called samsara. We need to recognize that we are attached to, especially those things that make us feel guilty or unworthy, and let them go. We must purge them from our system. We can only govern, and we are only responsible for our own reactions to every experience we encounter personally, and that is it. To make a mistake is to be human. In fact, we learn the most from our mistakes, and we must let it go. We must detach from that event once we learn the lesson the event taught us. We most certainly should not attach ourselves to events that do not involve us. We do not know the purposes of the lessons of those events to those who are involved. Those lessons belong to the people involved and the higher power that arranged for those lessons to occur. We must release all attachments to events that do not involve us directly for our own sanity. Most of these lessons are ones you must apply in your day-to-day life. Each time you encounter an experience, you have a choice. You choose to learn from it and let it go. Or you attach yourself to that experience. As you begin to recognize the cycle, you can change it. When something happens that excites or triggers you, write it down and see if you can determine the lesson based on your emotions and what you associate it with. Then when you learn the purpose, let it go. Burn that paper you wrote it down on if you have to symbolize that you are releasing the event's hold on you. The more you recognize when you are at that decision point and choose the more loving path of deriving your personal lesson from it and detaching from it, the more you will start to think that way automatically. You are reprogramming your brain to see and interpret the world from a healthier, new perspective. I will include a sound meditation by Temple Sounds in the description box below for this chakra. After the meditation, write down how you feel and any thoughts or images you encountered during the meditation. In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we have reached the self-esteem level. Too often, this is confused with self-confidence, which is usually involving ego. Few will reach this level, and even fewer will go past it. Elusive self-esteem. No amount of unearned trophies or well-meaning teachers or parents can give it to you. All of that just feeds your egoic shadow, encouraging you to keep on the mask of peer pressure-driven acceptance. Some mistake those with big egos who have amassed a lot of stuff as having self-esteem, but often they have the smallest. Self-esteem is the natural result we reap when we courageously test ourselves against the universe. As we comprehend and start to manifest the life that we desire, our self-esteem grows naturally. Self-esteem can only come from knowledge. We must tap into the wellspring of endless love and forgiveness that is at the essence of our spiritual nature. Even more exciting is that in Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, we have reached the climax of the tale. We are at the part of atonement. You can read this as at-one-ment. Here, with our loving forgiveness of ourselves, we dissolve our shadow egoic self. We forgive ourselves for all of the parts of ourselves, all of our little demons that we locked into our shadow, and we let go of them. When we are no longer in conflict with ourselves, there is a profound sense of unshakable inner peace. Yet, that is only the tiny first fruit you reap during this process. Here is where we encounter what Edgar Cayce stated was the purpose of life every soul that comes to earth has. The purpose of the heart is to know yourself as yourself, yet one with God. Atonement is such a huge concept. I'll attach a blog post on the subject in the description box below. Finally, Edgar Cayce on the Revelation by John Van Auken states that this chakra is represented by the eagle, and the message for this chakra is addressed to the church of Thyatira. The spirit, with eyes like fire and feet like fine brass. In other words, it had the vision of the spirit and understanding that comes from being tested in the furnace of life. It acknowledged that the heart chakra has charity, faith, patience, service, and the first works. There is also one major issue with this center. It lives life without love or spirit, seeking only gratification and pleasure. This is represented by sex without vows, here representative of living physically without spiritual ideas. The spirit went on to promise that if this spiritual center changed, then spirit would give him the morning star. The morning star represents any bright planet seen in the eastern horizon before sunrise. Venus is the most brilliant planet in our solar system and often appears as the morning star. Venus represents love, harmony, and beauty. Cayce identified the planet Venus with the heart chakra. The experience of true love is unlocked by forgiveness. There is no substitute. There is no completion without forgiveness. Well, I hope you take your time on this transformative chakra. This is the peak of the experience for the chakra system. From here on out, there are additional adjustments that need to be made, but here we have reached at-one-ment, at long last. And the magic is once you forgive yourself, you discover that you must forgive everyone else as a result. Who knew at-one-ment was as simple as forgiving ourselves for being human?
worship.